Kosuda is an ugly son of a bitch who couldn't bag a girlfriend if his life depended on it. And honestly, looking at him, it might. That all changes when Yamada, the prettiest girl in school, somehow catches feelings for this disaster of a human being.
Can I ask you a favor? My tummy hurts. Will you please rub it? It hurts bad. Will you please touch it? That feels so good. Will you rub higher?
She's not just the prettiest, she's the most popular girl around. Whenever she walks down the hallway, every student stops and stares like she just walked out of a music video. Basically the Kim Kardashian of Japanese high school, except with better life choices. One day, Yamada links up with her best friend Maharu on an extremely important mission to acquire the new Kai Senate Chicken Big Mac from McDonald's, a noble quest. On their way, two greasy geeks block their path and start complimenting Yamada on her beauty like they rehearsed it in the mirror that morning. They ask her to hang out. Yamada thinks for exactly half a second, then declines, screaming it with the same raw energy as Godzilla destroying downtown Tokyo. The geeks return to their basements, defeated. Eventually ending up at a bookstore, Yamada spots Kosuda for the first time. Within seconds, she clocks that this man is a virgin. It's practically written on his forehead in bold font. He's browsing for 50 Shades of Grey, which honestly explains the oil stains on his backpack. With a clumsiness level of 1 million, Yamada trips and falls directly on top of him. She looks into his eyes and wonders if he could satisfy her the way she wants. She introduces herself and then, in the most socially catastrophic opener in human history, asks Kosuda if he's a virgin. The man blasts through the bookstore door like the Flash, except the Flash has dignity.
Ooh, that brother's floating in the air. How could his hands do this? Oh, someone get him out the air.
Maharu stares at Yamada and calls her a weirdo for scaring the poor bastard half to death. The next day at school, Yamada can't stop thinking about Kosuda, completely unaware that this ugly virgin sits in the same damn class as her. As usual, a swarm of boys descends on Yamada like ants at a picnic, begging for pictures. She shuts them all down immediately because, in her words, she knows exactly what they're going to do with those photos. And she's not wrong. When the crowd clears, Kosuda finally gets a good look at Yamada's face and instantly recognizes her as the unhinged woman who ruined his book fetish session the other day. Being a decent human being, which already puts him above most, he hands her the phone she dropped. Yamada snatches it and yells,
What are you, deaf? I just said I didn't want my picture taken. Gah!
Maharu grabs her by the arm and tells her to apologize because she's being an absolute idiot. Yamada leans in close to Kosuda's face, and then it clicks. Oh, it's him. She greets him properly this time, then immediately ruins it by calling him Virgin Mary. Kosuda, finally showing some backbone, claps back and tells her he has an actual name. Character development unlocked. During class, Yamada starts fantasizing about Kosuda and cooks up a plan to get closer to him. She'll pretend she forgot her math book and ask to share his. It's a classic move. Unfortunately, it flops harder than a summer blockbuster with a $300 million budget and no plot. Later, Yamada stalks Kosuda through the hallway, a hobby of hers at this point, and lures him into an empty room. There, she attempts to seduce him and, being completely unhinged and slightly stupid, rips open her blouse like she's in a bad telenovela. Kosuda's brain short-circuits. The man practically has a seizure.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Yamada panics and bolts. Afterwards, Kosuda's friends find him looking like he just saw God, and not in a good way, and ask if he hooked up with Yamada in that room. He just stares into the distance and says he only saw her tits. That's all. His friends have never been more jealous of a trauma response in their lives. The teacher assigns Yamada and Kosuda to return books to the library together. Yamada is practically vibrating with excitement. Alone time. Finally, she locks him in a room again, her signature move at this point, and pretends her stomach hurts. She lifts her blouse and asks him to rub her belly. Kosuda, slowly but surely catching on that something is happening, starts rubbing her stomach. Yamada cries out,
That feels so good. Will you rub higher?
This man, this beautiful oblivious disaster, pats her on the head. He pats her on the head.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Yamada loses her mind and yells at him to squeeze her breasts and get on with it.
Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Give it to me! Just give it! Damn!
Kosuda, now absolutely terrified, sprints off to get the nurse. Yamada sits alone in that room, frustrated beyond words, questioning every decision she's ever made. Later, Yamada absolutely bodied PE class, every other girl watching in silent envy. Afterward, she passes Kosuda in the hallway, who's curled up in a corner still recovering from earlier like a man who just survived something. She shows him her test results.
Height 164 centimeters. Weight 43 kilograms. Sitting height 87 centimeters.
He assumes she's threatening him. Yamada and Maharu eventually agree Kosuda would make a decent study partner for finals. Meanwhile, Kosuda is peacefully reading the latest volume of Chainsaw Man, a man simply trying to live his life, when Yamada rolls up behind him and yells, "You should teach me math." Kosuda, operating on the logic that at least she's clothed this time, agrees. That afternoon they study together, except Yamada cannot focus on a single equation because all she can think about is getting absolutely railed. They almost kiss. Yamada realizes she's never kissed anyone before. She stares at Kosuda's lips, described generously as ugly, and silently vows to kiss him, but not today. Yamada first considers kissing Kosuda at her house, then cancels that plan immediately because of her absolutely feral sister. The next day, she steals his umbrella while he's not looking, then offers to share hers. A trap, obviously, hoping it'll get her inside his house. Despite being a full-on otaku who spends his evenings watching anime recaps online, Kosuda is genuinely a good guy. He holds the umbrella entirely over Yamada, getting himself completely soaked in the process. Yamada finds this unreasonably attractive. When they arrive at his house, she signals she wants to come inside. He hesitates, but his very attractive sister Kazuki swings the door open, takes one look at Yamada, and immediately assumes she's his girlfriend.
Lord have mercy. We must stay focused, brothers. We must stay focused.
Yamada gets inside. She asks to see his room. As Kosuda frantically cleans up what appears to be a room with white paint splashed absolutely everywhere, no further questions. Kazuki and Yamada have a little chat downstairs. Then Kazuki drops the best news in recorded history. She's leaving for 2 hours. The house is theirs. Yamada nearly ascends. She rushes upstairs, and then immediately starts overthinking everything. Kosuda, blissfully unaware that a woman is mentally preparing to seduce him, asks if she wants coffee. She says yes. He brings coffee. She asks to look at his photo album. She gets bored. She brushes her shoulder against his. This man nearly combusts. Inside his head, Kosuda is running the math. Sister gone for 2 hours. This is my moment. He leans in for a kiss, and then gets an erection.
Yeah, boy.
Yamada, who apparently skipped every biology class ever taught, does not understand what is happening and completely panics.
I'm leaving!
She bolts home and curls up in her bed like a frog who just witnessed something she can never unsee.
You don't have future here. You don't have future. You can never make it. Because you cannot do basic 1 + 1.
The next morning, Yamada tells Maharu everything about the erection situation. Maharu stares at her and says, completely deadpan, "You can't avoid that." Kosuda overhears and assumes they're making fun of his size. He was not having a great week to begin with.
All I ask is when you lay your head on that pillow at night, know I gave you everything I had.
Maharu invites him to a pool outing with her, Yamada, and her boyfriend Desi. Kosuda considers declining. The blue ball situation is still fresh, but Maharu attempts to convince him by flashing her chest. It doesn't work. What actually convinces him is Yamada showing up and talking loudly with that chaotic energy of hers. Somehow that does it. He's going. At home, Yamada tries on a bikini and imagines Kosuda undressing her, then sits down to watch the latest anime recap, Normal Saturday. At the pool, Yamada walks out, and every man within a 50-meter radius forgets his own name. Simply by looking at her, Kosuda gets an erection, and Yamada, being Yamada, keeps loudly telling him to stand up. Maharu arrives and pulls Yamada aside to remind her to act normal because her boyfriend Desi is here. Maharu introduces Desi to Yamada. Desi immediately and secretly considers switching girlfriends. He doesn't act on it, but the thought is very much there. Kosuda starts chatting with Desi about books, which makes Maharu briefly convinced he's flirting with her boyfriend. Meanwhile, Maharu and Desi are openly adorable together, leaving Kosuda and Yamada standing there like two losers at prom without dates, which is ironic given how badly Yamada wants to fix that. Maharu eventually drags Yamada aside and tells her to be less boring. Yamada asks Kosuda to go on the water slide. He agrees because he likes having her body close to his. On the slide, he panics and clings to her like a man falling off a cliff. Yamada interprets this as romance. She rides that slide 17 more times. Afterward, Kosuda looks like a broken man. He hugs Desi and whispers to get Yamada away from him. Yamada finds out it was just a fear of height situation and calls him lame.
What? No way! Does he swing that way? Why was he holding it like that?